Good morning, everybody. How are you? Come on, good morning. So it's so lovely to be here to join you today in the world's first zero carbon arena. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean, very, very cool. And I want to just really thank the Green Sports Alliance for the opportunity to join you today, and particularly Dune Ives. We have many intersecting paths that have made, I think, today happen. And it was so lovely to hear about Scott. Scott, I don't know if you remember, but we met, gosh, like I think in 2016 when I was in Atlanta, and you were driving the strategy behind the Falcon Stadium, and I think you even mentioned this organization, the Green Sports Alliance, and so it's just lovely to be here today and to see what you all are building together. You know, as I was preparing for today's conversation, I learned that the Green Sports Alliance and EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, have a long partnership that a dozen years or so ago, when the alliance was formed, EPA Region 10 helped in that formation. And so it's just lovely to see how far you have come, and here you are in this arena celebrating all that you've accomplished. So it's really wonderful. And you know, I love learning about that history because sometimes when people meet me and they think the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, oh God, you are like the regulators, you're like the scientific agency, and we're certainly those things. But so much of what we are able to accomplish as an agency in terms of clean air, clean land, clean water for all, we do that through partnerships. And so it's partnerships like this that have led to so much of the progress that we're seeing on behalf of our planet. So just a little bit about me, because I'm probably not your typical keynote speaker, right? Like, how many times have you had the EPA at the conference? So I was appointed on day one by President Biden as his assistant administrator for water. And my job in that role is to ensure that drinking water is safe to drink, that wastewater is properly treated and returned to the environment, and that our surface waters, our wetlands, our oceans are protected and managed on behalf of the American people. And so I had a moment when Dune invited me to join you to say, why would the cool Green Sports Alliance want, you know, Biden's water chief to speak at your conference? But, you know, last night as I was on the plane from DC, I was looking at all of the materials, the ways in which, you know, your teams, your brands, your leagues, your stadiums, what you are doing each and every day in partnership with the Green Sports Alliance. And what I saw is that we are after the same things. We are after the same things. You all are using sports as a vehicle to promote healthy, sustainable communities and frankly, to tackle the climate crisis, right? That is what you are doing. You're doing sports. Sports is your vehicle to do that. Well, you know, what we're doing at EPA is we are trying to make government work for people, and we are trying to use the levers that we have as the public sector to promote healthy, sustainable communities and tackle the climate crisis. So we are on the same agenda. So I want to thank you all for incorporating the work we're doing at EPA here in today's conversation. What I thought I would do is really talk about three things briefly. One, I wanted to talk about why water is so central to President Biden's agenda for the American people. So I want to talk about that and what we're doing in the water space. I want to take a minute to kind of celebrate all that you're doing to achieve water stewardship in your work. And that playbook, I read it on the plane last night. It's excellent. You should all read it. And then I want to sort of challenge us to think about the moment that we're in. I think this is a convergence moment. I think this is a moment to scale up the kinds of partnerships that we're all working on, and I'd love to figure out how we can do more of that together. So why water? Why we have centered water as a core priority of the Biden administration? So, you know, one of the things that I do in my job is I do have the opportunity to fly across the country and meet with all kinds of communities. And, I have just really seen firsthand in the last 2.5 years just the stress and strain that so many people who don't have access to clean, safe water struggle with. I think about Jackson, Mississippi, where last fall there was a severe storm that essentially took down the water system, so that here we are, the capital city of the state of Mississippi, where you had 150,000 people on boil water advisories for months. The president, declared a disaster declaration, and EPA was sort of the center of the strategy to respond. And of course, we're continuing to work on that. But the thing that I still recall is, for example, meeting with the grandmother who had to truck bottled water for months to her home. She used that water to boil the pasta for her kids' dinner, and then would save that water to give them a bath afterwards, because that was the challenges that they were living in. Or going to Cahokia Heights, Illinois, where the issue of flooding is so chronic that basements back up and people are living in homes with mold and they don't have any other choices, so they're living in just these conditions that are really so untenable. I've had the opportunity to go to Alaska and visit with Alaska Native villages where honey buckets are their toilets, and you do your laundry at the community washateria because there has never been water infrastructure, in the first place. These are the kinds of conditions that people are living in here, and I think, the president has been very clear that in a nation of such abundance, such opportunity we have in this country, that nobody should live without those basics, without access to clean, safe water. And what we know is, some of those stories that I just told you, those aren't just a story here, a story there. We know that even here in the United States, there are over 2 million people who don't have toilets that flush, that don't have a faucet in their home to turn out to pour a clean glass of water. And there's millions and millions more that have unsafe water or inadequate water infrastructure. So this is a really significant issue in this country. And what President Biden often says to us is we are an administration that is focused on building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. And part of how we do that is investing in America, investing in communities. And so we've been thrilled at the success that he has had in getting the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law passed. These are two of the most consequential pieces, I would say, of environmental legislation, but also investment vehicles to help us achieve the green energy future, the clean water future that we also desperately want. And I, in my role, have the opportunity and the honor to invest about $50 billion of that in our nation's water systems. So that's 50 with a B. I just love saying that. I don't get tired of saying that. And, that is the single largest investment that we have ever made as a nation in our water systems. And I just, that may seem a little bit like, oh, that's water infrastructure. That's not what the Green Sports Alliance does, right? But if you think about your stadiums, your stadiums are running on these water systems, right? That are in that community, in that city. Your athletes are drinking that water that we're able to provide. And so this is really, this generational investment in our water infrastructure is just so incredible. And what I want you to know is that we are not trying to invest those resources in the same usual way. We're investing with an eye towards future-proofing our water systems. We're thinking about what are those projects that, of course, upgrade the water system, but also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. What are those projects that ensure that those communities that I was just talking about, have access? So we're thinking about how we center those investments in a way that focus on equity and environmental justice. And I think that's an upcoming session that you'll have this morning as well. But when I think about what you all are doing, you're future-proofing as well in all that you're doing. I have to, say, as I've observed and watched the Green Sports Alliance, it seems like there's been, tremendous progress on issues of energy and waste. I'm here from the DC area, and the The National Stadium, of course, has earned LEED certification, and that was actually, for those of you who know DC, that was a former brownfield site. So, contaminated land that has now been revitalized in this way. But what I think is so exciting about the Water Playbook, and what I really want to sort of charge you all with, is we have so much opportunity in water. There's been great progress on the waste side, great progress on the energy side, so much opportunity in the water space for your stadiums, your teams, your companies. Just a couple of examples that I've been learning about. Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts, that is the largest water reuse facility in the entire state of Massachusetts. Isn't that cool? In Santa Clara, Levi Stadium is recycling water, and it's using it to irrigate their field and to flush their toilets. The Atlanta Braves Stadium is using EPA WaterSense products to reduce water loss and reduce costs, I would say. And of course here, right, in the Climate Pledge arena, where the rain is being utilized to make the greenest ice in the National Hockey League. I mean, that is so innovative, so awesome, and just the kind of thing that we need to be doing to steward life's most precious resource, water. As I also think about what we're trying to do at this moment in time, a transformational moment that has been created by some of the resources we're investing in our communities through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, and then I think about what you all are doing, I want to challenge us to think about more convergence in what we're doing, more partnership in leveling up, as you said this morning, right? Because I think the moment calls for it. If you look at the trends, the World Economic Forum, they watch and monitor what are the largest global risks, right, that CEOs and heads of nation states are paying attention to. And every year they have this thing that they publish. And water risk is growing. It just keeps ratcheting up as one of the most significant threats, right? And just one statistic, global freshwater demand is predicted to exceed supply by 40% by 2030. That is a shocking number. So we are all on the hook, right? All of us are on the hook to do better. My constituents expect it. They expect it from the president, and I bet your fans and your shareholders expect it too. So we need to partner, and I will say, I think EPA needs your help, because we are working hard to deliver on the president's vision for making sure everyone has clean air, clean land, clean water. But you know what you all can do that we can't do? We were just talking about this, Roger and I, this morning, is you capture the hopes and dreams of people in a way. Sports does that in a way that we can't as government. I'll just close with a little story. My son, he's 11 years old, and on Saturday night, he went to his first DC United game. He's super into soccer right now, and DC United won against Cincinnati, which was a big deal because, Cincinnati, I think, is like ranked #1 or something. And just his excitement, right? If you think about it, many of our greatest moments, our personal moments, happen on fields, on rinks, on courts. The dreaming, the aspiration, the capturing of people's hopes, dreams, imagination, your teams, your stadiums, that is where that happens. So harness that, get more engaged in water, keep on going on all the creative, innovative things you're doing to secure a sustainable future for all. And let us know what we can do to help you. We are here at the EPA to help. So if there are ways that we can support and accelerate the work that you're trying to do in your communities, we stand by ready to help. So enjoy a wonderful summit, and congratulations for all the incredible work that you've done already.